Imagine you worship a god of the sea, a tsunami destroys your village. Tragic, but it doesn't shake your face because the storm god or an ocean demon might be to blame. Your sea god is still good. Now imagine you believe there is only one God, all-powerful, all-good, the source of everything. That same tsunami just became a theological earthquake. There's no one else to blame. This is the problem the Hebrew Bible never stopped wrestling with. The technical name is Theodicy. From the Greek words for God and justice, the question of why a just, all-powerful God permits suffering. That thought experiment isn't hypothetical, it's the exact crisis ancient Israel lived through. In polytheistic systems, evil has its own department, evil demons, chaos monsters, rival deities. Suffering gets blamed on forces the good gods fight against. The good gods remain untarnished. Biblical monotheism, belief in one God as sole sovereign of creation, eliminates every escape valve, no independent evil principle. God is the sole source. If a righteous person suffers, the trail leads directly to God's throne room. No cosmic middle management to absorb the blame. Here's the pressure in visual form. Biblical monotheism makes three claims. God is all-powerful, God is good and just, and innocent suffering exists. Accept any two, and the third becomes almost impossible to defend. An all-powerful good God should prevent innocent suffering. A good God who allows suffering may not be all-powerful. Later traditions partially relieved this pressure. Second Temple Judaism and Christianity increasingly introduced Satan and demons as semi-independent agents of evil, but the Hebrew Bible largely refuses that move. It keeps the tension raw and unresolved. The logical problem is clear. But the biblical writers weren't interested in logic puzzles, they cared about something far more urgent. A philosopher asks how propositions can be reconciled. A biblical writer asks how to still love and trust God when your children are dead and your city is ash. This isn't an intellectual puzzle, it's a relationship crisis, personal, psychological, spiritual. Think of it like a marriage under impossible strain. The covenant between God and Israel is a binding agreement of mutual obligation, and history is testing it to the breaking point. Every disaster forces the same agonizing reckoning. Did God break the promise, or did Israel? One event turned this reckoning into an existential emergency. In 586 BCE, the Babylonian Empire under Nebuchadnezzar destroyed Jerusalem and Solomon's temple, the physical center of Israelite worship and identity. The people were dragged into exile, the most traumatic event in ancient Israelite history. And here's what makes it remarkable. Every other defeated nation in the ancient world abandoned its gods. Your God can't protect you. Find a stronger God. Israel refused. Instead of abandoning their God, Israelite thinkers generated an extraordinary range of theological responses over the next 4 centuries. The Hebrew Bible is the record of that wrestling, not one answer, but a chorus of voices. The Bible doesn't offer one answer to this crisis, it offers a chorus of voices. First, the Deuteronomist. The Deuteronomistic history, the books of Deuteronomy through 2 Kings, was shaped by editors who argued that 586 happened not because God failed, but because Israel failed to keep the covenant. You weren't destroyed because God is weak. You were disciplined because you didn't listen. This reframing saved Yahwism from extinction. It turned military defeat into moral lesson rather than theological refutation, arguably the most consequential theological move in the Hebrew Bible. Second voice, Job. Job flatly rejects the Deuteronomist's logic when applied to the individual. Job is righteous and he knows it. His friends insist he must have sinned. Job refuses to accept that. He demands that God explain himself directly, personally, no intermediaries. God's answer from the whirlwind is not a justification. It's an overwhelming display of cosmic power and mystery. Where were you when I laid the earth's foundation? Job gets no explanation. but he gets something the Deuteronomist never promised, a direct encounter with the living God. Third voice, the Psalms. The Psalms don't argue, they feel. Despair, fury, joy, trust, sometimes all in the same psalm. They model bringing your unfiltered emotional life before God without needing a systematic answer first. Fourth voice, Ecclesiastes. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. Ecclesiastes doesn't solve the problem, it reframes the question entirely. The cosmos is inscrutable. Death levels everything. So find meaning in the fleeting pleasures of life. Eat, drink, love, work. A startlingly modern, almost existentialist voice inside an ancient text. Fifth voice, Esther. God is never mentioned in the book of Esther, not once. Salvation comes not from divine intervention, but from human courage and communal solidarity. When no miracle arrives, you become the miracle. Sixth and final voice, Daniel. Daniel makes the opposite move entirely. It promises God will intervene, not within ordinary history, but at history's end through apocalyptic transformation. Apocalyptic means expecting God to dramatically destroy evil and establish justice at the end of time. Justice is delayed, not denied. 6 voices, 6 strategies, no final resolution. These books don't contradict each other any more than a person contradicts herself by feeling hopeful on Tuesday and despairing on Thursday. A living relationship with God, like any real relationship, requires range. The Hebrew Bible's refusal to settle on one answer is not a failure of theology, it's a feature. It mirrors the complexity of actual human experience with suffering. No matter what readers face, communal catastrophe, personal injustice, existential meaninglessness, political oppression, there is a biblical voice that speaks to it. That durability across 3,000 years comes from holding tension rather than erasing it. Look at the Theodicy triangle one final time. God is all-powerful, God is good. Innocent suffering exists. No single biblical voice resolves this tension. The Deuteronomist, Job, the Psalms, Ecclesiastes, Esther, Daniel, each one engages the triangle from a different angle. Each offers a way to live inside the tension rather than eliminate it. For 3,000 years, readers have returned to these texts not because they solve the problem of evil, but because they refuse to pretend it's solvable, and then they refuse to let go of God anyway. That tension, that wrestling, is the Bible's deepest gift.